Hello everyone. Today I come to talk to you about how I started a business in Taiwan. Starting a business in a foreign country when you don't understand the culture, the language, and all the business structure can be daunting. However, I think if you have a guidance, it will be more manageable. After I opened a business, I found this book, How to Start a Business in Taiwan, and it has a lot of useful information and resources. However, it was written 10 years ago and some of it is a little outdated. Who am I? I am Nelly. For the ones who don't know me, my husband, my in-laws, and I started Luna Corporation, which is a company in which we import our green coffee beans from Honduras to Taiwan. We had our purpose very clear. But what we didn't have clear was how to start to doing that in here, because you have to be aware of all the legal situation that runs behind it. You cannot just say, oh, I want to open a business. It's so easy and doable. No. You have to read and do everything in the right way. There are many misconceptions about starting a business in Taiwan. They say that you have to be married to a Taiwanese local, that opening a bank account is impossible for foreigners, that you need an insane amount of capital to start a business, that Taiwan only supports tech startups. And no, I think if you are aware of what you need and what you want, you will go step by step and you will be able to open a business not just in Taiwan, in any country that you want. And just let me be clear, by having a business in Taiwan does not guarantee that you're going to have a citizenship or an ARC, an Alien Resident Certificate. In our case, we already had the ARC, my husband and I, but my in-laws, they do not have an ARC. They live in Honduras. We live in Taiwan, my husband and I, and my in-laws are in Honduras. So if you are living in another country, it is possible as well to have a business in Taiwan. You don't need to be physically here. There are many ways to start a business in Taiwan. You can either go solo or you can partner up with a Taiwanese local, but there are some pros and cons. I'm gonna give you the pros. I think the language definitely is a pro. Taiwan national language is the traditional Chinese, and it can take a lot of time to learn. So already having a partner who knows how to speak and handle all the business and legal and tax documentation, it's amazing. Consumers trust. I remember when we went to the coffee shops by ourselves, the Taiwanese, they didn't feel comfortable because most of the time, foreigners that come to Taiwan, they just stay here for a short period of time and then they will leave. They will return back to their home country. So that is not a good startup point for a Taiwanese to trust a foreigner. So I remember we hire a Taiwanese, and as long as they see their face, they feel way more comfortable. So I will recommend you to hire a Taiwanese employee, especially if you are going to talk to a lot of people. Another pro is that it's cheaper. Compared to foreigners, the documentation process will be shorter. They will not require as many documents. So it is definitely way cheaper as well. The capital amount that they ask a foreigner is higher compared to the Taiwanese. As well, the bureaucracy process for Taiwanese locals is less complicated than foreigners. And as well, the Taiwanese, besides knowing the language, they understand the culture and the norms. It's not just about, even if you're fluent in Chinese, it's different to be born and raised here when you understand all this cultural nuance. Now, the cons of having a Taiwanese partner. If you don't trust this partner very well, this applies for every partnership. I think at the beginning, you have to make a contract and go to the notary and have like an ironclad clauses in there specifying the description of your business partnership. So at the end, if you end up parting separate ways, have the less hurdle as you can have. Another thing is that you can have unequal contribution. Let's say that your partner inserted more capital or connection, so he or she might believe that he or she has more power than you in this business. Another thing is you can have different expectations around decision making. Taiwanese business culture often values consensus and hierarchy. During these 10 years living in Taiwan, what I have learned is that no is not no. No can be yes, yes, no, and that can be very confusing, and they ghost you. I don't know why. Maybe it's cultural. They don't know how to say no. So that can lead to many, many misunderstandings. The communication barriers that you can encounter through this mindset can be complicated to understand. So no matter how well you get along with your partner, sometimes these things can be complicated and sometimes they can even stop talking to you. Another complicated thing that I can tell you are the exit strategy challenges in Taiwan. Closing a business or going separate ways with your partner can be legally and emotionally complex. Without a pre-agreed exit clause, dissolving the business or buying out your partner will involve long negotiations, and you can even go to court proceedings. Once you have decided which path to pursue, you can, if it's either go solo or partner up with a Taiwanese, you need to submit everything by yourself, or you can hire a Taiwanese certified accountant, a CPA, which is the route that we took. I absolutely recommend to have a CPA. They are aware of all the steps that you need to go through, and they will guide you step by step, and they will be focused on your specific needs. Chapter 1: Why Taiwan? Geographical location is very strategic. Let's say that you are making business with another Asian countries. A flight from Taiwan to these countries can be 3 to 5 hours, so that is very convenient. As well, Taiwan has many business friendly policies. Chapter 2: Choosing the right business structure. You can either have a sole proprietorship, but this is more for locals, I have to say. You can have as well a limited liability company, an LLC. You can have a company limited by share, CLS, a branch office or subsidiary, or you can have a representative office. This is for non-commercial presence. Once you have defined your structure, you have to reserve a company name. You are welcome to have an English name, but legally you need a Chinese name. You have to check if the name that you chose in Chinese has not been taken by another registered company in Taiwan. You can check that through the Ministry of Economic Affairs, the online portal. So you have to be very, very aware of the Chinese name that you're going to use. As well, you have to define your business scope, align with the MOEA classification. Through here, they will give you what permits or licenses you will need, your tax obligations, and whether your application will be approved or rejected. You have to avoid delays. They will give you a period of time in which you have to present all the documents that they are requesting, and better do it on time. And you have to be specific when you are using the MOEA codes. You cannot be random just saying retail or just saying services. You have to be more specific. And you have to keep in mind that there are some industries that have more considerations and require more time to get a specific approval. They might be finance, education, or food production and processing. It's not impossible. Just keep in mind they will require more documents to get approval. The foreign investment approval, if applicable, but for foreigners, I think is very applicable. You need to fill the application form A. You need the investor certification, which is a copy of your passport and your company registration certificate with a Chinese translation. It has to be most of the time notarized, so keep that in mind as well. You need a business plan, including a 3 to 5 year forecast. You need a power of attorney if there is someone doing it on your behalf. You need a company name reservation letter, which is the one that has to be approved by the MOEA. And you need a foreign investment qualification declaration that has to be signed by the investor. Now, the next step will be to register with the MOEA via the one-stop portal. This is the Taiwan's Ministry of Economic Affairs, MOEA. offers a centralized system called the One Stop Service Portal. In here, you have to fill the company registration, your business registration, your tax registration, your labor and health insurance setup, your internal work regulations filing. Next, you have to do the tax registration, corporate income tax, and the VAT. This is what gives you legitimacy. For example, if you put it will be Jo I Lin Si Chi Sa Lin Ba. It is an 8-digit number that you put it online. You put that number and you will find that number, the name of the company, your scope, and and that will give you legitimacy. That is very, very important when you want to buy something. You can ask for, you use that number. When you have to give a receipt, you will use that number as well. So that is super, super important. After you already have your income tax number, you need to open a business bank account. There are several banks in Taiwan, but when you are a foreigner, it can be complicated to open a bank account. However, it's not impossible. I recommend you the CHB Bank. I think they are very welcoming to foreigners. At least it was in our case. For this, first, you need to open a personal account. And after you have your personal account, you can open your business account. The next step will be to wire your investment funds in foreign currency. Let's say you are in the US, you have to wire this in US dollars. The minimum capital investment is $500,000 Taiwan dollars. And this money is for your business. It's not for the MOE, okay? So don't worry, you don't have to pay that to them. That money, you can use it after. So after you already do the wire, you have to submit the bank statement and remittance records for verification. These ones don't have to be the original documents. You can send a scanned copy and no problem. This usually takes around 2 to 4 weeks, depending. It can be longer if they will ask for additional documents. Now you have to apply for the necessary licenses based on the industry. Especially if you are in the beverage or food industry, you have to comply the FDA requirements. Chapter 3, legal and compliance essential. You need a local address requirement. Most of the time, foreigners will not own a house in Taiwan. If you own a house in Taiwan, you can use that as your legal address. However, if you are renting a house, you cannot use that address as your legal address. So the thing that we did is that we asked our CPA to use their address. So every 6 months, she charges a fixed amount, and that is our legal address. And I think this applies in every country. You need a legal address no matter where you are. The next one will be hiring and labor laws. This is the backbone of Taiwan's employment regulations. You have to be aware of the wages and benefits of the employees. The minimum wage in 2025 is 27,470.90 NT dollars. And if you're paying by hour, it will be 183 new Taiwan dollars. And you have to be aware that employees are entitled to labor insurance, health insurance, and retirement contributions. There are some platforms where you can find employees. You can find them in the marketplace, in Facebook. You can find them in universities, or you can find them in this big, big platform, which is called the 104. Chapter 4, branding and market entry. You have to localize your brand. You have to be aware of the language, visual, and values. Keep in mind that if you want to make business in Taiwan, you need to at least have a basic Chinese communication skills. They really appreciate when a foreigner can speak at least basic Chinese, because not many of them can speak in English. So be aware of that. And if you're not fluent in Chinese, you can hire someone to translate. Or if you're selling products online, you can sell your product speaking in English, but you can use translations in Chinese. Don't feel discouraged if you don't have a fluent Chinese. I remember my ex-boss, he's been living in Taiwan for 20 years and his Chinese is super, super basic, and that hasn't stopped him from doing business in Taiwan. Now, another very important thing to keep in mind is the digital presence. This means website, social media, and e-commerce. So for website creation, you can use Shopify. That is a platform that we use, and it offers traditional Chinese or any other language that you need. You can also use WooCommerce, and once you have your website, if you are selling products in there, you can use these payment gateways, which are Tap Pay. PayNow is the one that we personally use. These payments getaway usually ask for one initial payment plus a 2% commission fee for every purchase. Another useful platforms to sell your products can be Shopee Taiwan, Momo Shopping, and PC Home. With PC Home, just keep in mind that I would recommend this platform for technology products. I think if you're selling beverages or food, that is not the place to sell. Later on in a future video, I will share my mistakes so you don't make them. Keep in mind as well that Shopee will get a commission fee of the 5 to 7.5%, and Momo Shopping will require 40,000 NT dollars per year plus a commission fee of 6 to 15%. So I recommend the best way to sell your products online is to have your own website. You need to give a receipt to your customers. These receipts can be electronic. You can use a POS system or you can use a handwritten system. If you're a small company, most of them, they will give you handwritten receipts. The thing with this is, for example, they require to use the Taiwanese numerology, which is not, they don't use Arabic numbers or standard Chinese numbers. They have a financial Chinese, which I think is to avoid scams. So just keep that in mind, and you have to write a lot in Chinese. But if you don't want to go through that, you can use the POS or electronic invoices. And for example, through the Pay Now Getaway, you can apply for that. It costs around 7,000 or 10,000 a year, I think. So if you have a high number of sales, I think this is very convenient for you. Now, another thing that the MOEA has done recently, for example, if you have a B2B receipt, you can give them an electronic invoice for no additional charge. So that is very, very convenient. But for B2C, you have still to do it handwritten, or you can either apply to the electronic receipts. Another very important thing of starting a business in Taiwan is the networking. It can be the chambers of commerce, startup hubs, or even Facebook. As well, there are some trade shows that are held almost every weekend at the Taipei Nangan Exhibition Center in Taipei. In there, you can meet customers, you can meet companies, and you can do some networking. And it's amazing. I really like to go to those trade shows because you can learn and see so many people in there. Another useful platforms to join business-focused communities are Oriented Taipei, Business Networking International, Internations, and as well you can find some people on Facebook. And you can go to your chamber of commerce or to your embassy. Now, finding a location for an office or a physical store. You can do it by yourself or you can hire a realtor. Just keep in mind that the realtor will ask for a fee. Let's say that your store will be 20,000 a month, let's say. So the landlord has to pay him or her 10,000, and you have to pay him or her another 10,000. Plus, you have to give a 2-month deposit to your landlord plus the first month of rent. If you're buying a space, for foreigners can be a little bit more complicated, but not impossible. The taxes are higher compared to locals, but it's absolutely feasible to buy a house or a business or an office in Taiwan. Just keep in mind that it can be a little bit more expensive. There are some useful platforms where you can find these stores, which are the 591, the errand.com. And yeah, I hope all these steps had been useful for you. Starting a business, I know it can be daunting, it can be time consuming, but with the right guidance, it's totally possible. And I think Taiwan is a very good place to start a business. So if you have any more questions, please let me know in the comments below. However, I have done an easy step-by-step guide of how to start a business in Taiwan as a foreigner. In there, I have shared my personal contacts, the companies that I use, the translators, the websites that I use to create the company. So I think that's very helpful information for someone who is starting a business in Taiwan, and you can access to it in the link below. The price of it is just 325 new Taiwan dollars, which is less than 12 US dollars. So I hope this guide can be helpful for you. And if you know about someone who wants to start a company in Taiwan, share this video, like this video, and let me know if you have any questions down below. Thank you for your time. If you haven't subscribed, you can press that red button down there, and you have no idea how much that little beautiful action helps me to improve in every video that I am making. If you want to know more about me and the content that I'm making, I am based in Taiwan right now, so I'm posting about my experience living in here, curiosities about things that I see and for me are interesting. And I hope to see you on the next video. Thank you so much for your time and have a nice day. Bye-bye.